Hey there, happiness seekers. Welcome to Elevate Daily, where we seek to give advice that can make your lives brighter and more fulfilling. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had one of those days where you know you have things to do, important things, meaningful things, but you just can't seem to start? You open your laptop, you stare at your to-do list, and instead of getting to work, you scroll, or you watch something, or you switch between apps, or you tell yourself, I'll start in a minute. And then hours pass. And at the end of the day, you're left thinking, why am I so lazy? If that sounds familiar, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not lazy. Your brain is overstimulated. And once you understand what that means, everything starts to make a lot more sense. If you enjoy content that helps you understand your mind and take back control of your habits, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Elevate Daily. Now, let's break this down. Let's start with what overstimulation actually is. Your brain is constantly processing information. Every notification, every video, every scroll, every message. And in today's world, that input never really stops. We wake up and check our phones. We fill every quiet moment with content. We jump between tasks without finishing them. Over time, your brain adapts to this environment. It gets used to high levels of stimulation, fast-paced content, quick rewards, constant novelty. And here's the key point. When your brain gets used to high stimulation, normal tasks start to feel understimulating. Reading feels slow. Working feels boring. Thinking deeply feels difficult. Not because those things are inherently hard, but because your brain is comparing them to something much more stimulating. And that's where the problem begins. Because now, when you try to do something important, your brain resists. Not out of laziness, but because it's been conditioned to expect something more engaging. Now, let's talk about dopamine. Dopamine is often called the feel-good chemical, but it's actually more about motivation and reward-seeking. Every time you scroll, watch, or consume something new, you get a small dopamine hit. And because these hits are frequent and easy, your brain starts to rely on them. It starts to prefer quick rewards over delayed rewards. So when faced with something that requires effort, like studying, working, or building something meaningful, your brain says, this is too slow. Let's do something easier. And that's why you end up scrolling instead of starting. It's not a character flaw. It's a conditioned response. Now here's where things get even more important. Overstimulation doesn't just affect your productivity. It affects your focus, your ability to stay with one thing. When you constantly switch between apps, tasks, and inputs, your attention becomes fragmented. You lose the ability to sit with something long enough to make progress. And when you can't focus, everything feels harder, which reinforces the idea that you're lazy. But again, you're not. Your brain has just been trained in a way that makes focus difficult. Another hidden effect of overstimulation is something called mental fatigue. Even if you haven't done anything physically demanding, your brain can feel exhausted from constant input. Think about it. Scrolling isn't passive. Your brain is processing images, information, emotions, comparisons, all at once. And when that happens for hours, your mental energy gets drained. So when it's time to do something important, you don't have much energy left, which leads to procrastination, which leads to guilt, which leads to more avoidance. And just like that, you're stuck in a loop. Now let's talk about the emotional side of this, because overstimulation doesn't just drain your energy, it affects how you feel about yourself. When you keep avoiding tasks, you start building a negative narrative. I'm not disciplined. I lack motivation. I'll never get my life together. And those thoughts lower your confidence, which makes it even harder to take action. So the problem compounds. But here's the good news. If overstimulation is the problem, it's also something you can fix. Not instantly, but gradually. And it starts with small shifts. The first step is reducing unnecessary stimulation. You don't need to eliminate your phone or stop using technology, but you can create boundaries. Limit mindless scrolling. Turn off non-essential notifications. Create moments in your day without input. Even short breaks from stimulation can begin to reset your brain. Second, reintroduce low-stimulation activities. Things like reading, walking, journaling, or simply sitting in silence. At first, these might feel boring. That's normal. It means your brain is recalibrating. Over time, these activities become more enjoyable, and your ability to focus improves. Third, make starting easier. One of the biggest barriers isn't the task itself, it's the starting point.
So lower the barrier. Instead of saying, I need to work for 2 hours, say, I'll do 5 minutes. Just 5. Because once you start, momentum builds. And momentum is often stronger than motivation. Fourth, be mindful of your inputs. What you consume shapes your brain. Fast-paced, high-stimulation content trains your mind for speed and novelty. Slower, more thoughtful content trains your mind for depth and focus. You don't have to eliminate one completely, but balancing them makes a huge difference. And finally, be patient with yourself. If your brain has been overstimulated for months or years, it won't reset overnight. But every small change you make is a step in the right direction. Over time, you'll notice something shift. Tasks feel easier to start, focus lasts longer, your mind feels calmer. And most importantly, you stop seeing yourself as lazy. Because you realize you never were. You were just overwhelmed. Before we wrap up, I want you to reflect on this. What does your brain experience in a typical day? Constant input or moments of quiet? Because your environment shapes your mind, and your mind shapes your behavior. If this video helped you understand yourself a little better, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Elevate Daily. We're building a space where you can grow without judgment and actually enjoy the process. And I'd love to hear from you. Do you feel like overstimulation has been affecting your focus or energy? And what's one small change you could try this week?
Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your experience might help someone else feel less alone. Until next time, be patient with your mind. Protect your attention. And remember, you're not lazy. You're just living in a world that's constantly trying to capture your focus. I'll see you in the next one.